we truly believe, I think people in general who are deep into their religion, that if you pray enough, change will come.
There's this thing of like how we perceive suffering and how we perceive pain and sadness and our emotions in general. We're not a very vulnerable culture. Therapy really complemented my faith because it helped me to get to know myself better so that I knew exactly what type of connection with God. It also helped me to like not see God as punishing me.
You want to see Kelele? Roll up my weed, let me be Kelele. As I spend my money.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to your favorite podcast, Bita Leaf and Banter. I'm your host, Awa, aka Fine Gal. And this is my co-host, Tazi, aka Call Me Tazi. Tazi, say hi to the people.
Hi, people. Hi, people. How's it going?
All is well, Lou. All is well. All is well. Okay, we're going to get right into this one.
Well, hold on. Oh. How's your day going?
How's my day going? Today was a good day. I had a great workout today.
I like this shirt. Is this a dress shirt, blouse? What's going on?
It's just a little blouse. Got it on Shein when I used to shop on Shein. I don't shop there no more. I want better for myself. But yeah, a little $3 blouse. It's cute, right?
You said $3?
Yeah.
You know what I like about women's fashion? And I guess this is the kryptonite of men. It could be so cheap, but man, we don't be knowing, like, y'all just look so.
My whole outfit could be $10.
Y'all just look so good in it, like, and we just be like, man, it look like $1 million, you know.
And the thing is, other women know. I know
other women know.
I know what Shein look like.
For sure, I know what it looks like, and I guess as a man, when you date, and you have a lot of female friends. You know what to look for.
You can tell the difference.
You know how to tell the difference. Mm-hmm. When I see them transparent heels,
the clear ones,
transparent strap.
Now don't come for the clear heels. Now that's a classic. Don't.
When I see them transparent strap heels,
and two, like with a lot of women's fashion now, a lot of women's fashion are just dupes and restructuring of designer looks, right? Mm-hmm. We usually trace most trends to a designer look of some sort that just got Shein and Fashion Nova'd up. You know, that's why you can't tell the difference, because it looked like Balenciaga.
Look. They can't tell. I can tell. When it look like you're not getting enough comfort in them heels.
When your ankles.
When it starts, I'll be like,
it's Shein.
It's Shein. I'm sorry. You know, when I look at him here, I'm like,
But that's because you've been around enough women and you have other dynamics of women where
because I talk to you, that's what it is.
Very much so. And me and your sister, we are very much girlies. We love girly things. So, and we heel wearers. We do all the girly things. So you've been able to.
I've been able to be like, all right, you know, I don't buy from here, you know, and because of this reason. And if she buys from there, it don't mean that she's not a candidate. It doesn't qualify for me because I'm in a relationship. Sorry.
You're right. So be mindful, be demure.
Yeah. You see how I did that, baby?
Be mindful, be demure. Okay.
Very
$3 shirt. I got a few of these. And tell me how much your outfit. You looking? It's giving very business casual. It's giving very.
Don't do this, man.
You got the snapback on with the coat.
Don't do that. You know, I'm trying to give off like I seen what's the manager for LeBron James?
The one with Adele.
Is it Chris Paul?
No, that's the basketball player. Adele's boyfriend.
Adele's boyfriend, who's the manager for
it might be Rick Paul.
Rich Paul.
Rich Paul.
Rich Paul. There you go.
Paul.
I think he had pulled off one of these looks with the, you know what I'm saying, with the snapback to the back with the trunk. Man, I seen it. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do that today with the lapel pin. It's a camera. Peep the lapel.
You love a good lapel.
I love a good lapel. I got like 50 of them for different vibes. You feel me?
Yeah.
You know, so
I'll give you that. You love a good lapel. I feel like you're one of the few men that I see wear lapels on a regular basis.
Oh, I love a good lapel.
Special occasion.
I love a good lapel. Before I was in a relationship, the way a woman will flirt with me is, oh, I love your lapel pin. So you looked at my jacket to pick out this specific thing right here.
Because it's so unique. Like that's this. It's like, wow, when do you see that? That's fun. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so today's topic, we're going to be talking about something very taboo for our people. We don't have this conversation a lot, but it's becoming more and more relevant. Like everybody's going through a lot. Everybody, the baby's going through a lot. The old people going through a lot.
A lot.
Just going through a lot. So we are going to talk about mental health, but we're also going to talk about how we address mental health in our communities, specifically our West African communities, in parallel with religion, because we are a very heavily religious community, and sometimes these two things can clash. So there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers here. So just walk with us. So my first question to you, Tazi, is why is mental health so stigmatized in African communities? What do you think? How do we get here?
I think it's the way we got here is nobody ever questions that the way they're thinking or the way they're going about things could be flawed. And I think it's almost an attack on self when you tell. I think the way people interpret it is, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. It's very different from saying your arm is broken, you need to go to a hospital to treat it.
Right.
It's like there's something intrinsically wrong with you that you have to go fix. I think that's how people interpret, especially Africans interpret mental health issues. And it's unfortunate, but I don't think that should be the case. But I think if we could, break that down for it to not be viewed that way, and for you to ultimately understand the importance and the significance of mental health, it can really, really, really help a lot of people, especially African people.
Especially African.
There's a lot of things where it's just like, bruh, this undiagnosed mental health issues.
Yeah. And I agree. I think that we just culturally don't have a good understanding of mental health, mental wellness, how to maintain mental wellness, how to talk about mental wellness. And I think like growing up, any sign of mental illness was just categorized as like, you're just crazy. You're just crazy. That's it.
It's sad.
And because we're such a spiritual people, and because of how we interpret our existence, it's like you go from crazy, and then all of a sudden it's like a spirituality thing. Demons and evil spirits are being discussed when your brain is just imbalanced. You're just imbalanced. And it may be even something genetic. It may be something that is passed down in your family for generations. And instead of like trying to get to the root of this illness that keeps showing up, it's like, oh, the family is cursed or whatever,
Yeah. So and it's unfortunate that's how we see things.
It is.
Very unfortunate.
It is. And there's a history. We have a history of people suppressing their mental illnesses, not talking about it, not feeling comfortable to ask for help, not feeling comfortable to share with their family because they don't want to be isolated. They don't want to be ostracized from their families, from their people.
I agree. Yep.
Oh, they're dealing with it on their own. Okay.
Unfortunate.
So my next question is, how do you think religion has shaped our views on mental health?
So I will say that religion did a number on Africa, specifically Cameroon, because that's where I'm from. And the impact on religion, it really created this dynamic where we truly believe as African people, and not just African people, I think people in general who are deep into their religion, that if you pray enough, change will come. And in theory, yes. But when you get into the intricacies of whatever religion you are in, be it you're a Christian, be it you're Methodist, be it you're Olumba, be it you're a pagan, I don't care, a Muslim, one thing you will find that is very constant throughout all religions is that no change will come if you don't put any work in.
Right.
And by putting the work in, it may require you to go visit your PCP and your PCP recommending you to a therapist to talk to somebody. It's nothing like you're going to pray the gayness out of your son, pray the lesbianism out of your son. It's not going to work.
Right.
Pray that there is whatever issue your child is going through out. It's not going to work.
And I think like religion for us provides a strong spiritual foundation, but I think that it has also limited us utilizing other resources in times of need. You know what I mean? Like you said, like being overly reliant on prayer, being overly reliant on like spiritual messages, because we take these stories from the Bible, we take these stories and we place ourselves in the position of like, oh, if God has done it once, God can do it again.
Yeah.
You know, instead of, which might be true, but at the same time, how do you know it's going to be you? Like, how you know it's going to be you that is going to be the next coming of said message, instead of for you to, maybe God is giving you the tools around you.
Or let's just say you are praying, but you refuse any kind of medical advice whatsoever because you want to pray. Didn't God create the medicine for you to be healed? Did he not give influence over the human beings to create whatever medication you need to take, whatever it is, whether it's the therapist or whatever, for them to give you information for you to be healed? Yeah. Whether you have cancer, they give you the medicine for you to take for you to be healed.
But I think a lot of times people could feel like they're like betraying God, or like they're not showing trust in God's will by utilizing other resources. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like they feel like they're defying God and not trusting the faith of God, when it's like, okay, I understand. I totally understand. But when it comes to mental illness, especially when we don't come from a culture where even like mental illness professionals or like that career path of therapists and psychologists, that's not something that is really hyper focused in our communities. Do you know African therapists? I don't.
Man, I know like, well, I know two, but I know in those two, they're probably very like, it's like very, very, it's probably not that many after those two.
Right. Exactly. You know? And it would be ideal for there to be more African therapists, because there's a cultural aspect to mental illness.
For sure.
Right? Sure. Not all mental illness shows up the same everywhere. Like there's cultural parts of it, there's historical parts of it. So it would be ideal to have someone that you could talk to about problems that specifically affect you. But we're just not there yet.
I'm gonna share something personal with it. Can I share something personal with the people?
Of course.
All right. So funny enough, a friend of mine, coworker of mine, was like, you know what? I think you got ADHD. I was like, bullshit. And
that one is even past us.
She also has ADHD, right? And she has a master's degree in public health. She had ADHD. She knows the things based off of her experience with ADHD. And she was like, you do this, reading me for filth. You know what I mean? I'm just like, dang, I do all this shit. And she was like, I think you got ADHD. So she's on Vyvanse, 40 milligrams, which is a medication for ADHD, right? I was like, you know what? Let me pop one of those. Don't do this. Go to Don't do this. If you have ADHD, go to your doctor. I said, pop one of those. I pop one. When I tell you, everything just quieted out. Mm-hmm. And I sat in one spot. Quiet, more quiet than a church mouse pissing on cotton. For like 3-4 hours. And I got every single task done.
Right.
The next day, I went on ZocDoc and I got in touch with a clinical therapist, I believe. Coincidentally, he was Cameroonian. And I gave him all of the things. I started going back to like my past history. And I remember when I was in like kindergarten, first grade, they had diagnosed me with ADHD. And my mom was a nurse at the time, and they gave me some medication for me to take. And my mom looked at the medication that they were proposing me to take, and she talked to my dad and was just like, I'm a nurse. This medication is going to zombie this boy out. We're going to just deal with it as a family. But I guess it got lost in history, and I forgot I was diagnosed with ADHD. It was a long time ago.
Right.
So when I'm talking to this therapist, I'm like, damn, okay. I think I do got this. And I'm like, I'm giving him everything that I'm going through. And he was like, you have ADHD.
ADHD.
You have ADHD. The impulsivity. You need to be constantly stimulated. I was like, hey, but you have been able to manage and maintain this thing so well. Look at you. You're in a suit, you're calm. I said, yo, what? I'm going to prescribe you. And it was the best decision I ever made, you know?
Yeah.
But that's because I think we have to, make it imperative. Like, you're not sick in the head.
Right.
You're not sick in the head.
And also maybe you are.
Oh, maybe you are, and that's okay.
When you're sick in your body, you don't punish yourself.
Yeah.
So why are you punishing yourself for being sick in your brain? Like, your body is a machine that can be down and out. You might need some help. It's okay.
You might need some help.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, like, especially amongst Africans, I think there's this thing of like how we perceive suffering and how we perceive pain and sadness and our emotions in general. We're not a very vulnerable culture. Like, our cultures are not set up for people to express that they are not happy, that they are uncomfortable, because we are taught to believe, like, as long as your basic needs are met, what are you complaining about? You should be
complaining about, yeah.
You should be grateful. To even be sad is an insult. Yep. And I think that's where the religion aspect clashes, because it's like, if God has given you all of your basic needs and you're still not satisfied, you're being disrespectful to God. That's how we are.
That's how we program.
That's how we're programmed.
Yeah, that's how
we're programmed. So having the conversation, it's like, God is listening. How dare you even hear God hear you say something like that? And it's generational. We always talk about the generational differences, because what our parents are even worse. Hey, what? Like, when I was younger, and I personal story for me as well. Like, I would have moments of depression and like moments of feeling like really, really just sad, just sad, like really, and it's like interfering with my life. It's interfering. I just knew I just had to just thug it out. And fortunately, I had the self-will to be able to move past it. There were moments when I may have not known like what my future looked like, because I'm like, is this feeling ever going to go away? But at the same time, I did not have the tools around me, the people around me, to even express how I was feeling. I remember trigger warning, by the way.
Go ahead.
I remember my brother like asking my mom like as a joke, like, "Oh, mom, like, what would you do if I took my own life? Like, what would you do?" And my mom was like, "We'll just bury you."
Hey.
And
okay, we'll just bury you.
We'll do funeral now. What do you want? And like hearing that as a kid is like, so not only am I
we'll eat pork.
Like not only am I potentially struggling with my emotions, but if I were to express, do the most extreme thing, y'all are still passive. Like you're not even gonna let me know in this moment that you don't want me to do that. Like you come to you if I need anything. It's just well, that's your business. You and God, you'll talk. If God decides to send you to hell, then like very cold, like very cold, very
Crazy.
cold. but that's the environment we were in, where it's like we didn't even think that our mental health was important. It was like, if you're not dying, if you're not hungry, what do you have to complain about? And that's a very dangerous, I think, a dangerous place for a people to be.
I agree. I agree.
So my next question, how do you think we start the conversation about mental health with our families, with our people, especially since it's still such a taboo? We still don't feel so comfortable talking about it. How do we start this conversation?
I think it has to be, and people may disagree with me, but you kind of have to trick your parents into it. I think you should gaslight them into a situation. Yeah, you gotta gaslight your African parents into a situation
what do you mean by this?
that you know is gonna trigger them about issues that they currently have amongst each other, and let them go at it.
Give an example. How would you do this?
So let's just say I know my daddy don't like my mom, I guess, cooking at 2:00 in the morning and washing her feet. And I would encourage my mom to do it. So that my dad could wake up and be pissed. And then they'll argue. And as they're arguing, I'll be like, Mom, Dad, I talked to you guys last week. This is why I'm saying you have to talk to somebody. I have this person, and it gotta be very, very hard argument. I have this person that you guys need to go, like, you can go to them tomorrow and just sit down and talk. Now, with the emotion flowing and everything, they'll be down for it.
You think so?
I think they'll be down for it because it's like, I don't want to argue with your ass. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And they in their feelings. They in their feelings at the moment. They in their feelings at the moment. And so I think they'll be more inclined to it.
Right.
I think they'll be more inclined to
it. It definitely depends on, you got to know your parents, first of all.
You got to know your parents. Or dad.
Yeah, I agree to an extent with there has to be a moment that you can capitalize on. You can't just come one day and say everything is fine and this, Mom, let me tell you about my depressive episode.
At all.
They'll be like, you were depressed, we didn't know.
At all.
You look fine. You look fine now. So what's the issue? In my family, we had a situation with one of my family members, one of my cousins, that really, really forced us to like face it.
Yeah.
Really put it in our face, because it was like, this is someone that we love. This is someone that we know. So we don't have the same ability to just stigmatize them and push them to the side. We want to understand them better so that we can help them. And it opened up the door for us to like have certain conversations. And it made me realize like they really had they didn't know anything. Like I had to break it down like I was talking to a kid. Like I had to be like, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
This is what it means. This is this. I really had to like slowly and patiently, because they just weren't. They said, how did we get here?
Yeah.
How did we get here? So there's a level of vulnerability as well that comes with having this conversation that not all of us have with our parents.
Yeah.
And I think one of the more challenging things is like sometimes you could be vulnerable with your parents and they don't care.
Correct.
So some of these conversations, you have to go into them accepting the fact that it may not go anywhere.
Yep.
But at the same time, they can never say that you didn't say anything.
Correct. And I think you also have to be comfortable, and I know it's easier said than done.
Right.
That you could propose these things and they don't go nowhere.
They don't go nowhere.
All on deaf ears. I have an uncle right now. You say this therapy thing to him, he will tell you to go and drink soup. He will tell you to go and sleep. I need to go and sleep. There's something wrong with you. I know. I talk to him on a monthly basis. If you tell him that, uncle, you need to, the way you're handling this thing, you look at you and say, go and sleep. Go and sleep. So you're trying to tell me there's something wrong with me in the head. Am I a madman? Am I walking the streets like a madman? Because for him, that is the qualifier of something being wrong with you.
Right.
You know?
Right. And especially coming from a religious household, coming from parents who are very ingrained in their faith, you have to find a way to not disrespect their faith.
Correct.
Right. To not make them feel like, oh, you're relying on God too much, you're ignorant, you're uneducated.
Correct.
You have to find a way to still let them know, like, your faith is not, you have being a person of faith is not a curse.
Correct.
But it's not all that you can rely on when you are sick.
Yes.
You are sick.
It is not all
you have to do your part to utilize the resources God
has. You know.
And two, with therapy, I feel like in a lot of Black communities, outside of just African communities, there's this perception that you're telling the therapist your business.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where you're just talking to a stranger, telling them about your family, telling them things that they will go and
for sure.
But there is client therapist privilege. Like, your therapist is a secret.
It is against the law.
It's against the law.
Yeah, he got a jail.
These people have to be subpoenaed. Like, literally, they cannot just be telling your problems out there.
Or a HIPAA violation.
Yeah. And on top of that, it's like your problems are not unique.
Exactly.
You're not the first.
You ain't the first person to go through this.
Exactly. You're not the first. And the shame that you may feel, or the embarrassment you may feel, is only you who's feeling that. Nobody's judging you here.
Exactly.
They're paid. They've heard worse. So we also have to destigmatize, like, how we perceive therapists and what we think they do. Yep. Because I'm not gonna hold you. I've been seeing my therapist. I see her off and on. I've been seeing her for like 2.5, 3 years.
Likewise.
Without my therapist.
Likewise.
Without that lady.
Likewise.
I would not be where I am today.
I 100% will say the same thing for my therapist.
Yeah.
I have been seeing him since, let me tell you something. I was a bad case. At one point, y'all see me like this? Mr. Beard, nice beard, you know what I'm saying? Pea coat, t-shirt, nice background, whatever. There was a point in time in my life, I was the complete opposite. I had a deep resentment for women. A deep resentment for myself and the results I was getting in life. I was angry, you know? And shout out to Charlamagne the God. They were on the Breakfast Club and they were talking about therapy. And I was just like, you know what? Let me just say. I go on ZocDoc, I'll go get a therapist. Dr. Tyvon Foster. That's the therapist's name. And when I tell you the effect of a therapist, at least for me, it wasn't necessarily that he was telling me what to do. It was more so like, you've been doing it like this. Mm-hmm. Maybe, what if look at it this way and look at the large picture and then tell me what you see. And you're like, and I'm like, whoa, like, I'm really, really a jacked up human being.
Damn.
And then you forgive yourself.
Right.
You forgive yourself. And then you're like, you forgive other people.
Right.
And then you have grace And then you stop taking things so seriously, like, and that's the biggest part. Oh, you think this about me? Fine, sure, I'm gay.
But I'm okay with myself.
I'm cool.
I'm okay with
And
myself.
it's funny, during that time, I will wear excessive jewelry because I was overweight and I was trying to overcompensate. And I look back at it and I'm just like, man, I really was like in a situation. So I say all this to say, one thing I want for us to normalize in amongst Africans is you don't only have to go to therapy because you think there's something wrong with you or whatever. I have this thing where I call a tune-up, whereby it could be every week or every other week or once a month, where you moving and shaking in your life and you're getting different experiences from people, some negative, some positive, some very negative, some super negative, and it's going to have an effect on you. You go to your therapist and express what you've been going through, and they tune you up so you don't get set into whatever biases and whatever has been projected upon you. And so you level set yourself and you're thinking healthily, you know?
Right.
Because sometimes like it's very necessary. You could hear some information and just be like, Black people are the devil because of some shit you heard from some rich billionaire, you know? And that's why it's very important. Just find you a nice therapist, get you a nice little tune-up. It could be once a month. Something may not
be. Just to check in, just like a little check-in.
Just to check in. Talk to just talk to them what you've been going through.
Right.
And just talk. And I'm telling you, it can make a big difference.
Oh, it works wonders. And I think
it works wonders.
For me, I think going to therapy strengthened my faith personally.
For so.
Yeah, because I feel like once I was able to get to the root of my problems with my therapist, like once I was able to talk certain things out and really identify like what am I struggling with, it helped me to make my prayers more specific.
Yeah.
It helped me to ask God for more specific things. Whereas before it was more like, give me protection, give me strength, give me whatever, help me to get through. But
then your prayers start getting real specific. And then you stop feeling bad about being so specific on your prayers.
Honestly, I feel like it made me feel better because then when I saw the results, I was like, this is exactly what I asked for. You know,
damn near make it feel like God looking down like, God, I like the fact that you're being so specific on what you want.
God rocks with me. You know? God rock. Like therapy really complemented my faith because it helped me to get to know myself better so that I knew exactly what type of connection with God. And it also helped me to like not see God as punishing me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly.
It helped me get to a point where I did not see God as a figure in my life that was only
punishment, corporal punishment,
only here for consequences, only when things are going wrong. Like I got to a point where I was thanking God a lot. Like I was like, thank you for helping me get through this. Thank you for giving me the tools. It was truly a compliment.
Yeah.
Truly a compliment. So I think that if we can destigmatize therapy and mental health resources and just having the conversation with each other, it'll actually benefit our faith a lot more.
For sure.
In my humble opinion.
And I think a lot of married Africans, if they were to just normalize talking to each other, and they don't necessarily have to have problems, but once a month, maybe once a quarter, go to a couples counseling session, and just sit in it so you can hear. It's different if I ask my wife or girlfriend, like, is there anything that you would like for me to do differently, or is there anything I'm doing wrong, or tell me how you feel, versus me going to a therapist. I think like when you in that therapist's office, she gonna be honest.
She letting it rip.
You know, be it you doing good or bad. if you're doing good, I really love what's going on right now, blah, blah, blah. If you're doing bad, honestly, I think he is very inconsiderate or she is very terrible, whatever the case may be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you get to really self-evaluate, and like, it's really some of the best. It improved my life, interpersonal communication skills, but also in business,
Right.
in all areas of my life. Everything just improved. Everything just improved.
Right. Agreed.
Everything just improved.
Agreed. And again, like, there's a certain, I know my daddy not going to therapy. It is what it is.
Bye.
You're not about to make that man sit on nobody's couch and tell you nothing. What?
I go hold you. I agree with you. Now man gonna be like, I came to this country in 1980s and I made something of myself.
You want me to tell you how I feel?
Look at my bank account.
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
I'm doing very well. Miss, let's do this place.
He's not going. He's not going.
He's not going. He's not going.
And I feel like from my like I've explained to my therapist, I've talked to her about my relationship with my family and just how some of my mental struggles have been because of my family. So it's hard to tell them like, hey, y'all are the reason why I'm having issues. Yeah. And she's helped me to at least figure out what the most important thing I want is when it comes to my mental wellness and navigating those relationships. Sometimes, sometimes they, like, your therapist can just help you figure out what the best path is and how to react if it don't go the way you expect it to, how to move on, some tools, some resources, because we just don't come from a culture of talking about our emotions. So it's hard.
And I also think there's another aspect where, and I think this is also not only prevalent in amongst Africans, but also African American people in general, where people will try to impose that there's something wrong with you, or you are confident that ain't nothing wrong with me. And then they try to make you feel like you're crazy, especially with Africans, where like, I may not know all of the language and have all the information that you have of mental health or anything, but I'm okay.
Right.
I communicate with my kids pretty well. My wife and I are fine, and everything is straight. I don't need all of the information that you have.
Right.
Things are going pretty well, but you want to impose the information that you have.
That's true.
To me.
That's true.
And it's like,
you got to meet people where they're at.
You got to meet people where they're at. Right now, it's cool. I don't need to go to Verizon. I'm on Cricket Wireless, and I can do the same thing.
It's going to work.
It's going to work.
Yeah.
It's going to work.
There definitely has to be a balance, because it's like, you gotta meet people where they're at, and it's baby steps to breaking down generations of, like I said, my daddy's not going to therapy, but I'm not gonna put that on him. But what I would like to do is get to a point where I could tell him, this is what I'm going through. This is how I don't need him to go to therapy. I just need to feel comfortable expressing myself around him. I'll go to therapy for both of us. I'll go. I got us, So when it comes to this conversation about mental health and religion, I think we're positioned in a much better place to be able to at least acknowledge that having mental illness, or not being in your best state of mental wellness, especially in this country, in this society, is not something wrong with you. Like, it's not personal. Like, it's not personal. Like, so many people are going through the same thing as you. There are tools. If you got insurance, you could probably get some free therapy. There's all types of,
Man, what I tell my homies, homeboys, African or African American, I'll be like, look, majority of my male friends, they be getting to the money. They got some money. And I'll be like, look, bro, take that money and go get you a therapist, bro.
Yeah.
Take that money, go get you a therapist. It'll change your life. Take that money, go get you a therapist.
Yeah.
It'll really help.
And most people give up after like the first, and like chances of you getting your first therapist the first time are slim to none. Okay.
Yeah.
It took me like a year to find my therapist because I was so determined to find somebody to talk to me. Like I was determined to find the right person for me. So I think too, like in the pursuit of looking for therapy, looking for any resources, you can't give up after the first try. You know, you got to find the right fit for you. You got to find the person you're comfortable with. You got to find the person that can understand the context of your situation. It takes a little bit of work.
Mm-hmm. And therapy is not a fad. It's not like it's not a trendy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it shouldn't be a trendy thing, meaning that like if you're gonna go to therapy, the number one thing that would determine whether you're going to be successful in therapy or not is you have to be willing to accept the fact that there may be something a little bit off with you or somewhere that you need to course correct or some deficiency. If you cannot accept that and be willing to just be okay with that, it ain't gonna work. Because you're gonna be talking to your therapist and lying to your therapist.
You're gonna be lying to that lady.
You're gonna be lying to it. And guess what? They can pick up on it.
And sometimes they don't even fight you because at the end of the day, it's your healing journey.
It's exactly.
Why would I fight you if you don't want to heal yourself?
You don't want to heal yourself?
They will take what you give them, and
simple. And when you're ready, I'm gonna take the money you give me, and when you're ready, cool. We can talk.
Have a real conversation.
And when you get healed, I'm gonna be like, well, I have profited 6 months worth of free insurance off of you because you were going through your thing, but I'm happy you've healed. You know.
So all in all, you can go to church and therapy in the same week.
Yes, you can.
God will be happy for you.
Big fact.
God will be happy for you. And I think that we do have a responsibility, our generation especially, to dismantle some of these old perspectives when it comes to mental health, mental wellness. Like I think it's our fight to fight.
I agree. I agree totally.
We have everything around. And we're in such a high-strung society. Like this,
our
parents grew up in much simpler times.
They
have no clue. Like they have no clue what we go through. Like they have no idea. They cannot relate. They never
at all.
So we're gonna have to fight this fight on our own, and we're gonna have to pass down to our children ways of handling our emotions in better ways of communicating. It's our job to do.
I agree.
So yeah, anything else on this topic? I think we covered it.
You know what? I want to really thank you for picking up this topic. It's so dear to my heart. It's really so dear to my heart because therapy really helped me and changed me. So thank you for picking out this topic.
Of course, here to serve. Anyway, thank you guys for joining, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
You want to see Kelele? Roll up my weed, let me be Kelele. As I spend my money.